Hi, I'm here with Mark Gibson from Earth Science New Zealand, the former GNS, so the renamed entity.
That's right. You've got it sussed. Even better than me. It's only been a couple of months and I still get it wrong.
Now it goes difficult. So
Yep.
IIGCE, we're here, kind of, again, a wonderful New Zealand kind of country booth
Yes.
with a lot of companies. Earth Sciences New Zealand been very active, as GNS, of course.
Yes.
But super exciting things. You kind of, the other week, you kind of the supercritical work
Yes.
kind of things. Maybe just quickly kind of talking about this, kind of what's the status on that?
Well, it's super exciting, and people have been following New Zealand. I guess we're chasing everyone, Iceland, everyone. But last week we announced where we're going to drill our first supercritical well. It's going to be in the Rotokawa field and within the Taupo area, Taupo volcanic zone. The government have just announced that on Thursday last week, which is super exciting for us. We are taking a very much a science lead in this new realm for us, actually having a crack at drilling down to that depth, around 4.5 kilometres possibly. We don't know, but lots of cogs in the motion now, and it's going to be very much a New Zealand approach, which is really cool. So we're really looking forward to the next 12 months. But having that announcement made last week, finally it's out in the open. And now let's get into it. The geoscience team, the engineering, everyone. It's going to be a collective approach with across the globe, from the Japanese, the Americans, the Icelandics, everyone working together to try and solve these engineering problems to get down there and get some fluid out.
So you do this international collaboration.
Yep.
Was it Krapla Magma Testbed and these kinds of projects?
Yeah, it's going to be like that,
so
but a New Zealand Inc. approach. So very much New Zealand led. But we are very much open for business. We need to have the international community to support us. Our New Zealand government has invested 60 million New Zealand dollars into drilling into these the first wells, 3 wells. What that means is that yes, we might have enough money to do 1 or 2 wells, but there's a lot of science and there's a lot of engineering problems that we need to do around that to see what the fluids are going to. We don't know until we get down there. So, but it's all on in New Zealand at the moment. So we're getting super hot down there.
So Earth Science New Zealand, you kind of lead the project. Is there involvement from the private sector, from companies and universities, or how does it work?
Okay, so how it works is the government is it's a government entity called MBIE, which is the Ministry of Business and Innovation and Employment. They have contracted the likes of Earth Sciences New Zealand as a government agency to lead the science part. We are partnering with industry. So in New Zealand, we have Contact Energy, Mercury Energy, the University of Auckland will be involved. We've got other consultants as well that have been involved in the geothermal scene for 40 or 50 years. So we're bringing that whole collective together to make it happen, which is really exciting. For us, it's really exciting. And so let's get on with it.
Cool. And then, of course, I mean, you've been supporting geothermal so beyond the super hot now, of course, which is, of course, super exciting.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the traditional sense, you've been supporting, let's say, geothermal exploration in New Zealand, and you continue doing that in the traditional sense, supporting development. And
So even in that, like the same goes with the super hot stuff. We just got announced a new draft geothermal strategy for New Zealand, which is the first. We've never had a specific geothermal strategy. So we had 4 of our ministers just recently at Geothermal Week to announce the strategy, and it's to try and double geothermal energy, not just electricity, but energy by 2040. So our government's really into geothermal again. It's great. We haven't seen any investment from our government for about 40 years into drilling. So this is like super exciting times for New Zealand to put us back on the roadmap and let's get going again, which is great. But yeah, lots of investment still into conventional geothermal with lots of power stations coming on board, which is cool.
But then, of course, you're going to be extremely busy. So what's the connection then in Indonesia? Kind of why you're here?
Okay, so Indonesia still for us, it's a really close trading partner. We've been here for 50 years, working up here and consulting, but also from government to government relations and developing geothermal here. What we're doing also is that obviously part of our mandate is to bring in revenue, but it's also the learnings we can have from the Indonesian geothermal systems are quite different from what we have in New Zealand, right? Saline brines and all that sort of stuff is really important to understand. So not just about commercial, but it's also about that collaborative learning and how do we bring that back and how do we share our knowledge and how do we use that knowledge to then do what we're doing at home. It's really cool.
Awesome, yeah. And And how do you think the vibe is here in this region? And do you see an uptick, or kind of what's your impression?
Honestly, I was just in the Philippines last week for the NGAP conference up there, and then coming to IIGCE here. Both countries, they're getting it going, which is great. And there's lots of, like, we know there's issues, right, with geothermal, but the governments are finally waking up. Geothermal is actually a renewable power source. It's indigenous, it's long-term, it's based, like, we all know this, right? We all know this stuff. We've got to stop talking to ourselves. And when you talk to these bigger bosses and the power sector, the finance sector, they're like, oh, so you actually get a return like for 30 years. It's not just a short-term thing. So now the ministers and everyone getting involved, it looks good for them because it's much more green than just putting a solar panel farm down. Sorry, solar folks, but the solar down. So it's really exciting, eh? And
Awesome.
I haven't seen this before. Just so you know, in the last 3 or 4 years, it hasn't happened, and now it's all on.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, Mark, thanks for taking the time.
No worries.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Cheers.
it's great to see you.
Cheers.